Stochastic fiction game is a timed writing game. It'll be 1.5 hours today for this timed writing game. Once this clock begins, I'll go ahead and I'm going to generate a stochastic fiction outline. The stochastic fiction outline will give me the rules and the story elements to follow in order to create a story within 1 hour and 30 minutes. I just executed this script. It's a Python script. It's available for download. We created this stochastic fiction game outline with some story elements. I'm going to open up the outline. As we see, we have our timestamp right there, and then we have our story elements. For today's stochastic fiction game story elements, we have setting time present, setting main location river, conflict person versus destiny, quantity of primary characters 1, point of view first, tense past tense, genre horror, format novel first chapter. Given time, given life, and given the first chapter of a novel, let's start writing. I got river, destiny, and horror. First person point of view too, so I got to think of a witty narrator. Destiny and horror and river. I'm destined to be floating in that river. I'm destined to die in that river. I'm destined for that river to be. I have no idea. How is destiny going to be tying in with this story? And it's got a novel first chapter, so I better start thinking now of a book. Or I just write the first chapter and I'll make up a book after I'm done doing that. So I can leave a lot of loose plot ends and I can just do the easy. No, I won't call it easy, but easier just set up and not have to resolve anything. As long as I can make it sound interesting, like it's going to be a great book. And I got to make it river person versus destiny. The person versus destiny can be something that I could probably push off a little bit and say it's going to happen more in the other chapters. But we got to at least start this first chapter. It has to be next to a river. Usually when I do this, the entire book doesn't need to be by the river. It's just the story that I have to write today. So that's going to be its main location, river. Point of view first, it's going to have to be a river person. Maybe that's their destiny. Their destiny is to... Well, what kind of river is this? Is this some like large river you can actually float up, like the Mississippi River or something like that? Large for commerce. Your fate is to be a shipper. Maybe your fate is to think to be on a riverboat. Maybe. The destiny. Let's make the destiny. Does it really have to be connected to the river? Not really. If this is a flash fiction story, I probably would make it to the river because then it'd just be easier to have all those elements affect the story and you wouldn't have to write as many words. The destiny could be destined to become the River King. It's present too, so let's do something that's near. It's not science fiction, so it's not like I can make a bunch of stuff up, like we're in a different world. But it is horror. Horror next to a river, I think, is done, and it's a good place. It's a good horror aspect, maybe. It was like the classic horror film where someone dies and comes back to avenge their wrongful death because of foolish teenagers, possibly like Friday the 13th, although that was the mother, right? Or the mother, I can't remember. Sorry to spoil that. One of them is. Yeah, well, hey, that's destiny maybe. Destiny, once the child comes back and kills everybody, you're destined to die? No, let's not do that. You're destined to live. Ah, man, geez. I only had an hour and 25 minutes left, too, and I got to write a novel first chapter. So let's roll for some gender. 1, 2 male, 3, 4 female, 5, 6, it's 1, it's male. Okay, so how many characters do we really have here? What did it say? I read over that too quick. Primary character 1. All right, so we got some human male. is got to think of a narrative of this person. They live on the river, or they live by the river. Are they like shippers? Fishers? Maybe they're just swimming. God, destiny. I need to look that up. I need to search, and I gotta just get some ideas flowing for person versus destiny. I'll read you the sort of. I've just recently probably did this, but I gotta just destiny. Like I gotta think of this: how quick person versus destiny, human versus destiny, man versus destiny, fate, whatever you want to call it. A literary character where a character grapples with a predetermined future, often one they are trying to avoid or change. This can involve supernatural elements. We got horror, or the prophecies of a more grounded struggle against the incapable reality of the terminal illness. Person versus as a terminal illness, maybe. Maybe they got a mental depression, and that's the horror. Maybe the horror is the ghost makes them depressed, and they want to stand by the river and jump in and drown themselves. And that's how the novel would start, with them trying to kill themselves, just to get away from these horror thoughts that they've been having. And if it's horror, that's like a real struggle. And you could have that person on the edge of the bridge inside their own head, wanting to just off it with this external voice. And maybe it's a ghost. And maybe it's just their own mental illness trying to understand the horror of it. It could be like a modern day horror, not your classic I'm a ghost horror. It could be the fact that we just got a really terrible mental health. Terrible understanding of mental health, and even worse, implementation of trying to get that help. And that's horror, but not your classic horror. I've got to think ghosts. So let's throw in the... well, I mean, they could be the person. They could be the trigger, right? Person versus destiny. They're destined to die. Or, yeah, it's horror. Jeez. The curse, right? You can have a curse. Let's go with that. Let's go. This person's haunted, and it could be used for like analogy. I don't know, allegory or something, some sort of way to try to educate people with through story. This may be a terrible idea. It likely will be, but let's try to make it a good idea. And this person is on the edge of a bridge. They are on a river, first person, so we got that. Horror, past tense. Okay. First person, one character. For this chapter is just going to have them on a bridge above a river. And it's got to be captivating enough to sort of give me a feeling that there's a chapter here that sets up a thing, resolves a thing, and moves the story along to the next chapter. And shivered. Shivering. How about that? How about shivering? We'll make this during the cold season, so it's even more scary because that person hit that cold water and their body is going to freeze up. If this was during like the summertime, then hey, they go for a little bit of a swim. But if they got the stone, they could think more, and they could probably try to survive just a little bit more once they hit that water if they had second choices. And if they don't, because they're cold and their body can't move, well then, shivering, slipping on that ice. Shivering and slipping on that ice over the bridge. Hugging. Damn sneaker slipped. But right after that, regret. Because thoughts don't stop. And those things well, there's a paragraph that happened pretty quickly. I can appreciate that. This is horror, so this is going to be a little bit dark. Past tense. Yeah, past tense. I thought in my head. I thought. Ooh, whoa. Just blew up that editor. The command. Let's go with this. Those things I thought. Let's make this past tense like it should be. Shivering and slipping on the ice over the bridge rails. I default to present tense. Perfect? Not simple perfect. Simple present. Okay, sneakers lamb got a hole, but right after that, we gotta have him grab the rail and thought. Cause the thought don't stop in my own head about that dream. Didn't stop. Past tense. I should go now. It's stopping. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's how I could start this first chapter. But conflict versus fate, destiny. And maybe it could be like that Jekyll and Hyde thing. Isn't that the way there will be some shadow from the distance, so this car is going to stop. They're going to come talk to this person who they think is committing suicide, and who is committing suicide. Is tempting to, because they feel possessed, that there's a demon chasing them, and they're destined to have that demon take them over or kill them. So I'll introduce the demon here, and the demon's going to come out of the shadows, I think, and kill the other person. Start it off that way. Is what will end up being resolved in this novel is that the person really is just doing all the killing, and that's the classic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where you, if it's done right, at least you don't get the sense that they're the same person. I've read a version of the Jekyll Hyde type story, and it was really well done. I can't remember the name of it. It was a TSR published Ravenloft book. Kind of really enjoyed the twist of you discovering who the killer is and how they discovered it. You kind of knew, but the realization when the protagonist who is chasing the killer realizes that they're the killer was really well done. And that's been done in a lot of different stories other than this. So I'm not like the first person that's going to be doing this. Like everything I've written, someone's done it worse, someone's done it better, and probably someone's done it just as well as I will do it here during some point, during some time. But this is the time I'm doing it now. So let's at least make it something. I got an hour and 13 minutes left. Let's just check my story elements. So because I think I got this in my head and I can at least push words. The setting time present. Sure. I mean, there's nothing that's going to, like, I don't need to have a horse and buggy or something like that. It can be a car. Great. If it was past, I probably could still do a car. It'd just be the type of car. But I don't need to point that out. That's boring. I don't want to start dropping brand names like I'm going to be getting advertisement money for words that are in this book that are related to a brand of a product that sells within the United States of America. That said, setting time, main location, river. Yeah, we're definitely on a bridge over a river, and the whole chapter is going to take place there. In fact, I think the person in the car is going to go into the river, and then the person on the bridge is going to drive away in the car. And maybe it could be. Maybe this demon uses the other people like fishing hooks, and then they get embodied the character. The other next person. Who knows? I gotta think of that. That's pretty interesting. I'm not a horror fan, but I think that may be like an angle that could be taken. In past tense, it's getting there. Horror, I think I have it. First chapter, yeah. First person, sure. Primary, one character. Primary character's one. There will be a secondary character, I suppose. I mean, I'll justify it. It's a secondary character, the person that stops on the road. Then they become the main character. I guess the demon's the main character. I don't know. I'm still a little confused with that story element of constraint. I can justify in my mind that I'm going to use it the way I said it just now. I think I can. So we have the opening paragraph of shivering and slipping on that ice over bridge rails about made me have second thoughts jumping in the river. Yeah, I know. I'm dropping words, but this is the narrative I want to try to at least sketch out and use for the next hour and 11 minutes to finish this. Damn sneaker slipped and grabbed hold of the railing, first feeling this like fear of loss and ending it. The railing, first feeling this. First feeling like fear of loss and ending it, but right after that, regret for having grabbed the rail and thought. Because the thoughts didn't stop in my own head about that dream. And I recently, in another sort of thing I'm writing, I've been using that idea of the sleep paralysis demon, also called sometimes references the night hag, which I've experienced before. In the context of the other story, it's a result of a malfunctioning chip that's in their brain. That will not be the case for this story, but I think I'm going to use that as it is in mind, and it would be a way to be able to like connect to people to make it in this story a real thing, like the horror of it, that's real, and it is a demon looking over you. So, well, the second story today, I'll be actually using a sleep paralysis demon as a thing. Different genres, so, hey, it'll be differently implemented. Like it's a piece of software. Oh boy. Let's talk like it's code. Let's not. That's boring. Because the thoughts didn't stop in my own head about the dream, those nightmares of the demon. Those nightmares of the demon. That demon. Just standing there while I slept. Those things thought, rape it. My soul. And this is how I've woken up before when I've had that like sleep paralysis. And I knew it. You have that feeling of like it's there. And I haven't had it in a while. So, you only write what you know. Fiction is just a lie of what you consider nonfiction. And things I know these days sometimes lose scope in my mind if they haven't happened recently. And the sleep paralysis is one of those things. So this may not be as good, but this is what I remember having to do. I like shake my head, jiggle head, back and forth until it breaks the sleep through the body. And from the dream mind, excuse me. It took my soul to tense body and just like wake, jiggle head back and forth until it broke the body. I got to think of past tense. Past tense. It'll be helpful if I want to at least remain within the stochastic fiction game story elements. So it took my soul and just like woke. Jiggled head back and forth until it broke. Good thing about past tense is that if you're in past tense, then you can have everything past tense. So it's, for me at least, a lot easier to time shift. If you have like a present tense and you have like think back, then you have to like separate out with a chapter or some sort of scene break within the chapter, depending on how you're constructing your chapters. But I like present tense. Simple verbs. Until it broke the sleep through the body and the dream mind. About ran naked from the room. Apartment. Had my pants. But people also don't talk in like simple present sentences unless, you're instructing someone. About ran naked from the apartment. Had I not tripped over my pants. had I not tripped over my pants, bundled in the hall. I still was tripping. So I can play the whole scene out. I can write out like how they got there and why, what led them to the bridge, and then the interaction and the ending of, I think they're going to toss them into the river. And then I'm going to give the impression that the demon's going to possess. I don't know. I'll get there. It's like an hour and 3 minutes left. Let's write more, because talking don't write words. It helps, at least, dumps these thoughts and ideas out, so at least can experience what's going on in my mind. And it does help me. And these are a lot of conversations that I do have in my mind as I stare at words, so I'm just saying them out loud. Both for you all, but also the transcript that's being taken right now, so I can also have a better understanding where these words come from. And then use this data and this information to be able to train my large language model to see if it can improve and give some sort of understanding between fiction and nonfiction in data. It took my soul to tense body and just like wake. Jiggled head back and forth until it broke the sleep through the body and the dream mind. And about ran naked from the apartment had I not tripped over my pants, bundled in the hall. I was still tripping. I was still tripping and pulling up pants. By the time I looked back, and there was that demon, like a little smaller than me, slowly floating. I didn't notice my shoes missing. Maybe they're not thinking of suicide as much as fear to get away. But maybe even suicide just because maybe they suspect it's themselves. And that'd be chapter 2. I don't even have to worry about how to resolve this. I'll say that out loud, and maybe I'll write a paragraph, synopsis of the entire book after this first chapter. I'm thankful for that. Because novel middle chapter and novel final chapter, well, you got to think of everything else that becomes before that. I sort of have to do here, make it a plausible story, but I can drop this and arguably, I mean, all these stories unless given more time in life away from money job, likely never visit again. I'd love to. I would really enjoy editing a bunch of these. And I'll probably have to end up doing that just to be able to prove out my data with my model in the way that I've structured the change in it. That's boring talk. That has nothing to do with this story. So I stopped getting on that tangent of thinking about my data and information. It's a constant thought in my head, but it doesn't make a good story. Let's focus on this, because right now we have a story where someone had a sleep demon, they woke up, they ran from it and it chased them. And now they're noticing, like, this obviously was missing this time. This time I wasn't doing. I don't know where this tangent of this sentence is going. I'm still getting chased. I got to somehow get to this thought, but this time I wasn't going to let. I'm missing my shoes this time. That's going to assume that they ran away from this thing before. Is that what I want to set up right here? I don't know. Maybe. I got 58 minutes left, so it took my soul, blah, 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 blah. Like taking light on a dark past. Great. Okay, so I got to get them to the bridge, and I was imagining they're going over. Took the black dirt trail. Through Grove and Valley. Maybe through the Grove. Through the Grove, possibly. Took the dirt trail behind the apartments, beyond the apartments. That would be like any dirt trail would be beyond the apartments. Beyond the threshold, beyond. Completely just misused it. Yeah, so took the dirt trail behind the apartments through the Grove. There's conifers, deciduous. The types of trees. Leafless grove. Which one's I always get, I don't know why I can't. Pine trees are not conifer, deciduous. Conifers are pine. Conifer trees are cone-bearing trees that have needle-like leaves and stay green all year long, and the deciduous ones do not. Deciduous. I just want to make sure the search and return engine. Yeah, so we'll say, I don't want to say deciduous trees. That's the deciduous. That's such a word that leafless. No, that was just for my own mind. I just had to look up to make sure that leaf trees were deciduous trees, and the grove would be a leafless grove. Because it's wintertime, and is there going to be a leafless grove with frosted ground? Freezing, cold feet. I just noticed. Bear. Never ran before. Don't want to run again. Don't want to lay in bed. Don't want and listen to the wonderful whispers of the sleep demon. I'm not going to have the A. Demon. Where is my mind at right now? I'm really trying to. My mind went off on a weird tangent, thinking of other words. When I said demon, for some reason, I started thinking about processes and code and the United States of Eden and characters within it. And then I went off on some pop culture tangent that if I was probably not being streaming live right now, this would be the time that I would start browsing and reading news or looking for things to buy. But I'm not. Instead, I'm going to snap out of it, talk about it, and move on, because I only got 52 minutes left. It happens. Even in situations like this, the thought can trail. But let's refocus. Let's refocus on this, because I got it going someplace. Like, I don't want to lay in bed and listen to the wonderful whisper of the sleep demon telling me to do things. The things it does to me. And with me. Yes. I don't think I'm not going to have it at this time. And then absorbing the light. Bright car lights. My sleep demon slowly floats. All right, who got the ruled one? I went male, female, they. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 female. So there's a woman that gets out of the car, or female, human female, and yes, a human they and a human male. Those are at least the 3 configurations I will be dealing and rolling for. Everything else in between is just a big gray of understanding our 1 in many billions configuration of a human form. And then the darn car coming across the bridge, light bright enough to see, absorbing the bright car lights, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work. But I'm not there yet, so we'll get there. All right, so we're being chased, and so we're on the trail, we're being chased, setting up the scene that it's cold. why are they running? What is this fear, and the sort of the history with the sleep demon? I think I'm getting that out a little bit more. I do start this out, took the dirt trail, so I should end this paragraph after they get off the trail. I can go off on a little bit of a tangent with the words like I have done right now, like never ran before, don't want to run again, don't want to lay in bed. And that sounds kind of like a panic, and I like that, like you'd be running, and then all of a sudden you notice the thing because your feet, which you've told, yeah, the feel, I feel my cold feel. I feel my cold feel. I feel my cold feet. I just noticed bear never ran before. Ran. Don't want to lay in bed and listen to that. I don't want to say they don't want to run again. You can't. Let's get rid of that sentence. That's a pointless sentence. The one that follows is, I don't hate the cadence. I just not gonna really think that right then. I want to make this a little bit hurry, so it seems like they're getting chased in the narrative too, while trying to keep within the actual voice of the character itself. So don't want to lay in bed and listen to the wonderful whisper of the sleep demon telling me things it wants me to do. Things it does to me and with me while I sleep. Telling me, let's give it a voice, gurgling voice. I don't know, not gurgling. Like, no, it's got to be not a hissing voice. I feel like it'd be a whisper. It'd be nice. Like you'd want to listen to the sleep demon, the sleep paralysis demon, the night hag. And I don't want to use deep soothing because I think I use that in description of voices frequently enough to realize that I don't need to write it again for the 20th, 100th, billionth time. A little bit of hyperbole with the billionth, if I understand the definition and meaning of hyperbole right now. I might not. Telling me, what's it telling me? Telling me in a, maybe I can use a thing, like a physical. I don't really do that off, like a feather. In a feather floating voice. Vibrating, soothing. Not vibrating, soothing. A floating voice, soothing. Because if I remember right, when I've had it too, there have been times when, like, I'll try to wake myself up or focus, and my head will vibrate. And then there'll be times that, I'll have like I'm sleeping and have some sense of that I am sleeping. And try to focus on that fact in my mind and my head, my thoughts, and there's this vibration that happens. At least of my distant memories, it's been years. And then what I'd do is I'd focus on that vibration and shake my head with it. And that enough focus would usually wake myself up. Sometimes I'd have to like kick my legs. I think I'm going to write about the vibration real quick. I want to add that a little bit. That's For right after that, regret for having grabbed the rail and thought, because the thoughts don't stop in my own mind, my own head about that, those nightmares and that vibration. And that vibration, that skull vibration. If I focus too much, I gotta have it after the demon. Do I want to copy and paste this? I'm gonna try to copy and paste this. This is gonna be a little bit, because of the format of the terminal, I think it's going to give additional space to that copy, but I don't want to write it all out again, and I want it after this sentence because it just makes more sense. I want to set up the daemon first before I tell about this vibration too. So I focused. It took my soul. Till I shook it free. Okay, I like that. That's good detail. That is another, at least in my reality of nonfiction, a thing that has happened. That's going to happen to this character as well. Having actually done it makes the ability for me to lie about it and put it into this fictional state just a little bit better. Let's not say better, a little bit easier for me. And I have found those things sometimes are better, though that's purely subjective rating. Took the dirt trail behind the apartments to a leafless grove with frosted ground, freezing feet. I just know despair. Never ran before. Don't want to lay in bed and listen to the wonderful whisper of the sleep demon telling me things that it does to me and with me while I sleep, telling me in the featherbed floating voice. Right there, as I step along this trail, as I run along from the trail to the road. Took the dirt trail behind the apartments through leafless grove and frosted ground, freezing cold feet I'd just noticed bare. Never ran before, don't want to lay in bed and listen to the wonderful whisper of the sleep demon telling me the things it does to me and with me while I sleep. Telling me in feather-floating voice, soothing right there as I step along, run. Step as I run along. I'm going to step and run along. And on the bridge I stood. Um, I don't, like, there we are. Warm body and tingle mind. The cold bare feet. Bare feet stuck to the frozen metal rail as I let light glowed. I grabbed it. I mean, I think that's what I want it to be. I think the sleep demon is, I think, just going to throw the woman off the bridge. Or maybe the sleep demon possesses the woman, throws the guy off the bridge. And the main character here is the sleep demon. And then the sleep demon possesses the woman and drives away. Yes. That's it. And then the next chapter would be about her. And so the entire book will be about the people the sleep demon possesses until it's defeated by some, maybe like it leaves a person's residue inside the sleep demon. The sleep demon taunts its victims. Like I'd call it, just if I were to like sleep demon, That'd be the name of the book. And this would be like possessed. Possessed. I think I don't spell that word yeah. I'm going to go with moving on with life. If that's wrong, so be it. I don't have time. I got 34 minutes, but I think at least I can do this in 34 minutes. I feel confident in that, which is rare, probably at this time in the process. Only been 55 minutes, and I think I'm close to the end. And like, that would be the decision of if I were to take this and have it be like a book. Would I want to add more to this chapter to give more background to the character, or would that come through in the next chapter, like as these sort of, okay, so let's write this out. I'm thinking too much about the book, and I got to think about the first chapter only. The sleep demon taunts his victims with memories of what it did when it possessed and controlled their bodies while they slept. The sleep demon taunts its victims with memories of what it did when it possessed and controlled their bodies while they slept. And shown and told them stories of other people they've possessed and done evil things with their bodies while they slept. I need a summary. I don't need details yet. Details would come out in the book and all the chapters that follow this first chapter. And, well, I got 32 minutes left on this timer for this words and these things and this idea and game. So I'll just say evil things. Let your imagination think of the fiction. Done evil things with their minds while they slept. The last possessions of the sleep demon. I got this. I know how it ends. I should at least have to do that, right? I want to put the A in there, but let's just do the sleep demon. So that's what this chapter has to have. A sleep buddy. Or die. That would be the synopsis on the back of the book that can get me through this. Maybe that's what I need to do and think of this anytime I get one of these novels. Is I got to think of at least the blurb that would be on the back, and then write whatever chapter and required. Many times when I've had the novel, I've erred on the side of trying to think of the entire book and the chapters first, and I've failed many times writing any sort of type of story. So I'm not going to think of other chapter names today. As I have only 29 minutes left and I still have to finish this. I'm there. I think I like this idea of, and that is something I need to include into the first chapter, is that the reason this is the first chapter. And the reason it's the first chapter is because this is going to be the first time there's a lurking thing within the sleep demon. They'll think thoughts of their family. Ooh, man, that's dark. And I could go places with that, but I don't know how dark I'd really want to get in the first one. But it's dark in that I think they're going to think happy thoughts of their family before they die and jump off this bridge or get thrown off by the woman who's possessed by the sleep demon. And why is that dark? It's just because throwing in like happy thoughts of family as someone's jumping off, or is getting thrown off the bridge by a demon. Maybe that's the way I'd probably want to go. I'd love to be thinking thoughts about the people I loved, but in the context, hopefully, that I'll never be able to see them again, and it's going to affect them and hurt them more than it is me if I were to perish tragically. This person's going to keep maybe that's it. I run from the bridge and along the bridge, another dream, come dream with me, and I think one last dream. Okay. It was looking like the demon floats behind the silhouette of the woman. And man, I write silhouettes so many times. I should be more confident. I'm just going to go with it. It will bug me if I ever see this again and read these words. Likely that I have not checked this if it's wrong. I gotta move on. I don't got time. Absorbing the bright car lights, my demon slowly floats behind the silhouette of the woman. And how am I going to identify the hair or voice? And the light's bright enough to see, and it stops. It stops. Lights glowing. Spotlight. And a voice. A woman's voice. I don't know why I I know why I ended up writing that. The way I was able to quickly come with that thought of trying to think of, right then, what's the quickest way you could probably snap somebody out of getting lost in their own mind. Like, what's your name? And I've used that sort of before as, how we as individuals begin to identify ourselves as individuals. At least that's the way the humans have trained us ourselves. All right, and then the darn car coming across the bridge, light bright enough to see, and stops. It stops. Light, stop, light, and blind, and a voice. It stops. Got 25 minutes. Stops. Light spotlight. Blinded. Said. Okay. I gotta get, man, what's your name? Man, I don't. Name. Boom. What's your name, Bruce? I don't want to get too dramatic. I don't have time. My name. Run, I shouted. Behind you. Well, she shouted, she said, don't do it. And raised her arms like a hug. Like waiting to receive a hug. Well, she said and raised her arm like waiting to receive a hug. I'm here. All right. So we have some slight interaction, then the sleep demon. I won't turn. She said, as the demon went in her. Seep through her skin. And I saw that jolt. And her head shook. Kind of like mine. I knew what was happening. Happened. I thought. Um, uh, this is where you can make it tragic and you add a little bit more characters. Like what are the memories that they're sharing with the sleep demon that's gonna connect and merge with it, and those thoughts will then like build up. So the chance rolled female human, older woman, now possessed by the sleep demon, will inherit some of these thoughts. And she will then kind of do the same thing. It's going to be kind of trained until finally the sleep demon turns into something else. I knew what was going. The label will change maybe. And instead of calling it a demon, you call it the sleep fairy, and therefore you've defining something a little bit more. Hopefully, the vibrating is just the way you can attune. You're attuning to nature. I don't know. That's another fiction I don't have to get into with this story. I know I have the first chapter. I'm taking 18 minutes. I knew what was going to happen. I knew the sleep demon was between mine, so I thought. That's the quickly abbreviated version of a chapter. It's a short chapter. But I think that's kind of done. I don't know if I want to elaborate much more than that. I want to leave it with that sort of concept of, and let fiction, whatever, decide. All right. I'm going to read this aloud. I think I'm happy with it. It's really short. But do I really want to pick at it more? Not really. I could still use this. I don't hate it. I'm only stopping because I think at least there's something there. And then the next chapter, this would be like just like the quick scene. There could be many of these chapters too. So that's another thing. But I feel like this was when it triggered, and at the end at the right time. I don't have to tell the entire journey. I tell the entire journey, the second chapter, as long as the story gets told. I'm going to read the Stochastic Fiction Game story elements. Setting time present. Sure. Could be. Setting main location river. Maybe. I guess it ends with over the river and begins over the river. It's near a river. Person versus destiny. I'm the sleep demon, the destiny of sleep. I'm going to go with that. Quantity primary characters. 1. I don't know. I guess the primary character, your first person getting chased. There's not like 2 of them. Third person or something like that. Still confused on that. And it's my own rule and my own element. But the element of tense, past tense, I think I've done that. Point of view first, yes. Genre horror, sure. That's the genre. Then I got the horror. Format novel, first chapter. I believe I have that. I have a synopsis of the novel, and I have the title of the novel. The title of the novel is Sleep Demon. And kind of the blurb is a sleep demon taunts its victims with memories of what it did when it possessed and controlled their bodies while they slept, and shown and told them stories of other people they possessed and done evil things with their bodies while they slept. The book follows and the story follows the last possession of Sleep Demon, when finally the good memories of the people and its victims slowly begin to change it into the Sleep Buddy or the Sleep Fairy. Or maybe it dies. Don't know. I have to think of that more someday, maybe. So for today's stochastic fiction game story, novel first chapter, and it's a first chapter, this is what's been written. A chapter called Possessed. So this is Possessed. Shivering and slipping on that ice over bridge rails about made me have second thoughts, jumping in the river below. Damn sneaker slipped, hand grabbed hold of the rail, and first feeling like fear of loss and ending it, but right after that regret for having grabbed the rail and thought. Because the thoughts didn't stop in my own head about that dream, those nightmares, that demon, just standing there while I slept, and the skull vibration if I focused too much on walking. Kept me laying there for the whisper in its feather voice, things like in my head that I don't want to do, rape and kill and such. I couldn't do that. So I focused, and my whole head vibrated like an alarm bell rung the more I focused to sleep and open eyes. It took my soul to tense body and just wake, jiggled the vibrating head back and forth until I shook it free to sleep through the body and the dream mind. About ran naked from the apartment had I not tripped over my pants and tumbled and bumbled in the hall. I was still tripping and pulling up pants by the time I looked back, and there was that demon, a little smaller than me, just floating, like taking light and making it dark as it passed. So I focused, took the dirt trail behind the apartments through leafless grove with frosted ground, freezing cold feet I just noticed bare. Never ran before, don't want to lay in bed and listen to the wonderful whisper of that sleep demon telling me things it does to me and with me while I slept. Telling me in feather floating voice, soothing right there as I run along the trail to the road to the bridge. And on the bridge I stood with its whispers telling me to come dream with me. And you empower greatness when you dream. Warm body, tingles mind. Bare feet stuck on the frozen rail as I let my hand loose. Light glowed and I grabbed the rail and stepped down. And then the dawn car coming across the bridge, light bright enough to see. And it stopped, light bright, everything blinded, and a woman voice said, "What's your name?" Name, I thought. Name. Bruce. Absorbing the bright car lights, my demon slowly floated behind the silhouette of the woman. "Run," I shouted, "behind you." While she said and raised her arm like waiting to receive a hug. "I won't turn away," she said as the demon seeped through her skin. And I saw that jolt, and her head shook, kind of like mine with the vibration. Then it just steadied. I knew what was going to happen. I knew the sleep demon was between minds, so I thought of my new baby girl holding her as preschool and hugging her on the sidewalk outside class at the end of the day, of the joy seeing her after working and was showing me the drawings she did at daycare and all those hundreds of things on the way home and days on the way home from daycare, elementary school and high school, and instances of love before the sleep demon dreamed the woman to push me from the bridge and drive away. It's not terrible. Although I did lose past tense and I had to read over the present tense I slipped into writing near the end there. Does it set up a novel? Maybe. So let's go ahead and score this. Let's save this and let's move on with our lives, in other words. It's not poop. I don't hate this. So it's not a 1. I think it's been a bit. It's not a 2 because nobody idles and it's not that, different enough maybe. And 3, I'll go with a 3. Rewriting it may get rid of the stench. Yeah, I don't even know what that means anymore. But on a scale of 1 to 4, I think it's at least a 3. Let's save this. If I can write and quick. And let's add this. And with time still left, there's other stories to be thought and wrote.